Russia is trying by all means to draw Belarus into an open war with Ukraine. This is reported by the Ukrainian Intelligence Service. According to the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, 6 battalions of the so-called Special Operations Command, including mechanized battalions and units of airborne troops, are deployed near the border with Ukraine.
Putin and Lukashenko often meet to discuss this issue. Putin is trying to make Lukashenko agree to this decision. The last meeting was held just recently in Sochi. Most likely they discussed the entry of Belarus into the war. In addition, we do not exclude military intelligence has analyzed all the data that Putin talked to Lukashenko regarding the recognition of the annexation of our territories.
Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the Russian army has been using the territory of Belarus as a bridgehead for its strike force. Alexander Lukashenko has provided the Russian military with airfields and logistics facilities. Wounded Russian soldiers are treated in Belarusian hospitals. The Russian military constantly launches missile strikes on civilian and infrastructural facilities in Ukraine from the territory of Belarus.
There are still Russian Iskander missile systems, which are and can be moved to our border. Aviation is also constantly involved. First and foremost, long-range aviation, the same Tu-22 M3s, which can carry cruise missiles, and in addition operational tactical aviation, which also uses the appropriate missiles to strike our territory.
At a meeting on military security in Minsk on October the 4th, Lukashenko officially acknowledged Belarus' participation in the war against Ukraine for the first time.
As for our participation in the special military operation in Ukraine, we are participating there. We do not hide it. Our participation is to prevent this conflict from spreading to the territory of Belarus and to prevent strikes on Belarus under the guise of a special military operation by Poland, Lithuania and Latvia.
Information about the imminent mobilization appeared in the Belarusian social networks. Alexander Lukashenko instructed to register persons liable for military service and train reservists in Belarus. Meanwhile, the military registration and enlistment offices are verifying the list of draftees, while the government assures that the inspection is routine and that there is no need to be afraid of mobilization.
There is a normal mobilization training. There are mobilization check-in assemblies, when reserve conscripts are caught up for 25 to 30 days and they recover their skills. Such training is carried out throughout the entire period of the existence of the armed forces of sovereign Belarus and makes it possible to prepare a military-trained reserve to defend their fatherland in case of need. Alexander Wolfovich, State Secretary of the Security Council of Belarus, on the website of the Ministry of Defense of Belarus.
Experts believe that Lukashenko will continue to avoid direct involvement in the war, and covert mobilization is unlikely to happen.
The goal of mobilization is to bring in additional mobilization resources. This means tens or even hundreds of thousands of people to be brought into the army. It is impossible to mobilize such a number of people covertly. This information will quickly spread. What's more, the movement at the assembly points will be visible. Belarusian society has a strongly negative attitude to the participation of the Belarusian armed forces in this war, and Lukashenko cannot ignore it. The second point, it would be logical to join the war, which is victorious for Russia. Then it would be possible to get some trophies, but the war is going completely off Putin's scenario. They see this in Minsk.
Ukraine takes into account all threats from Belarus, Defense Ministry stated. In September, Ukrainian servicemen conducted exercises to repel possible threats from Belarus and deter offensive actions in north of Ukraine. Reported by Dana Kolesnik, Vlada Tsurkan, UATV News.